Hey guys, welcome back to another Ginger Ninja Gaming video, and today we are continuing on with my 2026 storyline. Um, and if I remember correctly, what we are up to is WrestleMania. In part 2, I did go over the build up. I talked about Elimination Chamber, the PLE, and then the build up to WrestleMania with a couple of the big feuds going into it. But let's get into this. Um, and let's talk about the 2026 WrestleMania. If I can find it. Um, and yeah, in accordance to my story and vision. And I think I've got a pretty stacked WrestleMania going into this. And hopefully in this video we'll also hopefully get through some backlash, whatever. Also, a reminder that obviously some of the characters aren't in the game, or um or are that I don't have unlocked, etc, that should be in this game, etc. So let's get into this. So starting off night one of WrestleMania. Also, I should mention the music theme for WrestleMania 42 is Like That by Doja Cat and Gucci Mane. It's a really good song, and that's what I kind of organized for WrestleMania. Obviously, they usually have two songs, but I just kind of got one going. So if you want to play that music in the background while I talk about WrestleMania, kind of give you a good music theme for WrestleMania. In terms of the WrestleMania logo and theme itself, I didn't actually think about that for WrestleMania 42. However, for future WrestleManias, like I don't know, for 44 onwards, I have come up with themes and logos for their WrestleManias. So stay tuned for that. But to start off, WrestleMania 42. And it's a pretty solid match, and let's get into it. We have Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship. Remember, Sheamus won the Intercontinental Championship at Royal Rumble going against CM Punk. And this is Sheamus's first PLE defense of it. Remember, Sheamus is now a Grand Slam champion. And I think this is just an epic match to start a WrestleMania off. Um, and yeah, so this is it, guys. This is for the Intercontinental Championship. Obviously, it's going to be a banger of a match, pun intended. And obviously, it's going to be an excellent match because one of the best matches from WrestleMania 39 was Sheamus versus Drew versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. And so you already know, even without Gunther, that this match is going to be a banger. There's a lot of story here. Once friends, enemies, whatever. So obviously the enemies at the moment. And yeah, this is a massive start to WrestleMania 42. Next up is actually an Intercontinental Championship contendership match. And so obviously leading into this WrestleMania, the whole story was whoever wins out of Sheamus and Drew will defend this title against the winner of this match. And there's a lot of people in this match. One, two, there's 7. Okay, well, I'll just do 8 for now, so I can just put it in. And let's go over this. So this is obviously, like I said, an Intercontinental Championship contendership match. And so in no order, we have this stack of a match. So even though Gunther wasn't in the in the opening match, he was in this contendership match. And pretty much what I did with this is I wanted to make it the meatiest, hard-hitting match, that you could get. And look, it's just should steal the show, really. So this is all for the Intercontinental Championship. There is so much on the line. I know that I didn't even talk about this, but in one of the promos I had in my head leading up into this WrestleMania, Alpha Academy was getting some spotlight, and Otis convinced um, Adam Pearce, to get into this match. Where is he? Otis. We can't have a WrestleMania without this guy, especially considering he's new to the main roster. He's just got into the main roster in 2024, and he's already had a big year. And like I said, he's got a big career ahead of him. Rusev is not in the game, unfortunately. But there is. Braun Strowman, and then obviously Rusev as well. So this is the Intercontinental Championship contendership match. The winner will face, obviously leading into WrestleMania, you didn't know this, but obviously now you do know that with Sheamus defending his title against Drew McIntyre. I don't even know if I said, sorry, Sheamus won that match. Sheamus won. I'm so sorry. I think I forgot to mention that. So the winner of this match will go on to face Sheamus at Backlash for the Intercontinental Championship, and I think this is just a superb match. I wanted to give Rusev a big, a big pop and everything, and yeah. So you can imagine the moves that's happening in this match, and on top of that, remember you had Gunther and Braun Breaker in the Elimination Chamber, so you already know that then they've got their move sets, and their chemistry is obviously really good because they've had that experience. Oops, sorry, just adjusting myself. And the winner of this match is Gunther. So Gunther wins this match and by pinning Omos. And yeah, this is just like a crazy match. A lot on the line, so much happening, and don't forget, Rusev is a part of this. And the next match is a women's match, and it is Zelina Vega defending her Women's Intercontinental Championship, because remember, she also won it at the Royal Rumble. So she's defending her Intercontinental Championship against Nia Jax. This is a huge deal, especially for Zelina going into this, because this is the Zelina Vega's big year, if that makes sense. This is the start of her being slowly put into the main event scene, and this is the way of doing it, is by making her have a really good Women's Intercontinental Championship run. And to start it off really big, it's with a big hitter. It's with a main eventer in Nia Jax. Nia Jax is so good in the industry that she can easily be put in the mid card, the tag team division, or even in the main event. And so it's Zelina Vega versus Nia Jax for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, and Zelina Vega somehow retains. This is a very tough match for Zelina. She's got to dig deep, for a good chunk of the match. Nia is beating the crap out of her, and Zelina has to. So Nia is playing a lot more offense, and then Zelina has to figure out when she can be offensive while commencing with that defense, and utilizing her abilities, etc., and her moveset to eventually pin Nia. And it's a really good match, and I think this would be excellent also for WrestleMania 42, having the Women's Intercontinental Championship displayed here. So I think that's really good. Let's have a look. Next up is a tag team triple threat for the World Tag Team Champions. So we go tag team 3-on-3 tornado tag. So, no, not this one. 3-on-3. It is triple threat tornado tag. Is it this one? Here we go. This is what we want. So, let's go male. This is it. Ooh, Rey Mysterio and yeah, Dragon Lee going up against. I'm pretty sure the defenders here are the War Raiders, if I am correct. So they're obviously going to be the defending champions in this triple threat tag team match for the World Tag Team Championships. Remember that's the Raw ones, and they're also going against. Oh my God, I've screwed up. What have I done? Male. Okay. The New Day. So this is for the World Tag Team Champions. This is just a fun, awesome display of tag team wrestling. You have, the really spectacular moves from Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and Kofi Kingston. And obviously you want the New Day at WrestleMania. They're a huge part of WrestleMania in the history of WWE. One of the biggest tag teams of all time. And the War Raiders add that brutality, of course. Plus, they are defending the tag team title, so they've got to be in this match. And the winners of this match are Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, so they become the new World Tag Team Champions. Next up, and I'm just gonna quickly read through something. I don't know if I talked about in 2025, and I probably should have double checked this. The Mingos. The new. Oh, I did because they were at the 2025 War Games. Yes, of course. Okay, I just want to make sure. Obviously, the Mean Girls are a big heel female group in the division at the moment. Kind of take control, do what they want, The big faction, and I think it's also really important that that we have these proper factions established in this. So we have a 4v4 match. 4-on-4. Let's go. It is the Mean Girls. So this group. So we have Carmella. Cora Jade. We have Roxanne Perez, and of course, Tiffany Stratton. So these are obviously the Mean Girls, and this is I think this is one of the big parts of WrestleMania is having a spectacle moment, and sometimes it's more so about rather than the match and all the movesets and the athleticism of athleticism. I can't even pronounce the word of the contenders in the match. It's also just about they don't have to be the top-notch wrestlers, and by that I mean you can have some returning old wrestlers return. So I don't have her in 2K25. I had her downloaded in 2K24, but the first woman that in this team of this alliance, which are good guys, because remember the Mean Girls are obviously the heels. So the first one is Sasha Banks. Because remember, I have her in this, and I think she deserves to be on this WrestleMania. She's a big star, etc. I don't have her downloaded. After this, I'm gonna have to download some superstars. So we have Sasha Banks, and then we have currently still a babyface, Becky Lynch, because she's not a heel yet. And I don't make her a heel for a long time. Becky Lynch. We also have some Hall of Famers, you know, like, it's a big. We've got Trish Stratus. We just have this random alliance. Obviously, Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus have had their feud in 2023, was it? When Trish turned on Becky, I believe, and they had that ended up in a steel cage match. Um, Regardless, they've come together. They're cool now, whatever. They're baby faces, and they're also going against um, a returning, which is really big. But obviously, even though it's returning, even though she's returning, it's only like it's a one-off thing. Like I said, it's the special thing. Oh, I do have it downloaded, but Mercedes. Okay, what am I doing? She's just by her. I just have her by her AEW name. That's crazy. Um, I don't know. Face looks a bit different there. I don't know if that's just me. But then also, as I was saying, the returning. Oh, female. Why is this taking so long? Michelle McCool. I have her returning. I know she. If I know so correctly, I think maybe a couple of times in 2025, she was in the audience, and you know she's a mom, and she's obviously a lot older now. But you know she would make an audience appearance, etc. A couple of times. Anyway, so this is the 4 versus 4 WrestleMania match. This is obviously who the Mean Girls have been feuding with for a while. And you know the alliance of these Becky, Sasha, Trish, and Michelle. You know they've come up, and I think one of the ways that this match built up also was you know Michelle, like I said, would have like this audience interaction, like or like she would have been in the audience for an episode of Monday Night Raw, and then Kamala comes out into the ring, for example, and goes and like bullies her or whatever. Michelle McCool still has it in for one last match. However, the winners here are obviously the Mean Girls. Um, I think it's also really important that the Mean Girls win because for a few of them, like Roxanne and Cora, they're still, and even Tiffy, I would say, they're still very early in their career and they need that solid win. And the fact that they're in this faction, the fact that they're in this team, this group, it allows them to build themselves up to a much higher extent and faster in their careers. But, you know, also saying that, you know, Roxanne and Cora Jade are obviously in this. I'm pretty sure right now they're actually the women's tag team champions as well. But also Roxanne had a big year as the world heavyweight champion in 2025. And also in mentioning that, I now think back and realize maybe that was way too soon to give Roxanne Perez a woman's world title run. But I think, you know, she's one of my favorite wrestlers, so I think I was a bit biased in doing that and putting her in that spot to have her hold that title. But anyway, this is the Mean Girls, the Ruthless Heel, the Evil Barbie group, and yeah, they win this match going against these baby faces over here. And I think this would be a very excellent match, but yeah, the Mean Girls win this. The next match is for the World Heavyweight Championship, and if you remember, the winner of the Elimination Chamber was Jacob Fatu, because remember Seth Rollins got involved and cost Roman Reigns the match, because the final two were Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu, and obviously the champion, the World Heavyweight Champion, is the Black Mask, Randy Orton. Damn, I had his Black Mask attire in 2K24. That's very, very frustrating. I don't know if I'm gonna have to re-edit it or somehow. I don't know. I don't know if I redo it again. But you guys all know, if you've actually been watching these videos, you do know that Randy Orton is the Black Mask. Anyway, this, as you can imagine, is a killer match, especially for the title World Heavyweight Championship match. And it's really good to see Jacob Fatu go for a world title, you know, have this opportunity, because it's still early in his career for his main roster run. Remember, he only came into WWE in 2024, and it wasn't the start of the year. Because I know Tonga Loa debuted at Backlash. Was it Money in the Bank? Jacob Fatu in 2024 because there was that tag team match against Randy and KO. I'm pretty sure it was Randy and KO versus Tongaloa or Tomatonga or something like that, or Solo or something. I don't know. And then Jacob came out during that match. I don't know. I could be off. I could be way off. But this is a match. You can imagine their movesets, the RKOs, the brutality of Jacob Fatu. And also an interesting thing. Remember Braun Strowman being the Black Mask's bodyguard. Obviously, he was going after the Intercontinental Championship because Randy Orton allowed him to. Uh, obviously, Braun Strowman lost. But yeah, like obviously, so the Braun Strowman wasn't in this match as the Black Mask's Royal Guard, etc., etc. I say etc. a lot. I'm so sorry. And yeah, however, the Black Mask retains his World Heavyweight Championship. It gets close, but Jacob loses. Um, yeah. The second last match of night one is for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. And so obviously the champion defending it is Rhea Ripley. And remember how I was talking about in like part 1 and part 2 how Jade and Rhea started this feud at the start of the year before the Rumble or late last year, and it kind of allowed for Jade, because of that, to skip the queue, which is why the Women's United States Championship was defended in the Elimination Chamber. And remember also Jade was going to try walk out of Romania with 2 titles because she was went after Bailey at Elimination Chamber. However, Bailey beat Jade Cargill and defended the title then. But this is obviously for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship, and Jade wins. So Jade pins Rhea in this match. It's really funny though, I think I mentioned this in the last video, how Rhea and Jade are also fighting for a title at this year's actual 2026 WrestleMania in real life. However, it's the other way around. It's the WWE title, and Jade's defending against Rhea. And remember, Jade is a heel at this point as well, and Rhea being a babyface. But it's like I said, it's a newish Jade. It's not 100% confident Jade. She's a heel, but she's still early on in her career. Like I said, I give Jade a massive title reign, etc., in a few years to come, and a whole new personality, etc. And so this is still heel Jade, but I think that's really important. I think it's really good for her to have the title. She was such a big deal when she came to the main roster, you know, debuted at the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble. Yeah, so Jade is now the Women's World Heavyweight Champion, which is crazy to believe because in 2025 I had her as the WWE Champion. Now she's the World Heavyweight Champion, which is pretty cool. I think it's also really cool, you know, having Rhea be at WrestleMania again. Yeah. And so let's do this. I think I talked about this at the end of last video, part 2. But this massive build-up, this massive feud going into WrestleMania, and you're probably very surprised. And at first I was surprised about this as well, but I did have a good thought into this. The main event of WrestleMania Night 1 is after the WWE Tag Team Championship belts. Because I'll give a quick recap. Remember, Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar are heels. Going into this, heels, the WWE Tag Team Champions, the main event picture, making the tag team the tag team division in the spotlight, as Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar are clearly main eventers and they're in the tag team division. Pardon me. And we had Jimmy and um, we have Jimmy and Carmelo Hayes teaming up together because remember they had worked. Carmelo helped them. Oh wait, oh my god! I just realized it's a different Carmelo that I'm looking at. That was Carmelo 2022. It doesn't matter, but this one. This is what I was after. And yeah, and as mentioned, Jimmy teams up with Carmelo because Carmelo helped out with the Bloodline to help face off against Seth and KO, or whatever. And also, the other Bloodline members are busy. Sammy, I've got to mention, Sammy got attacked before WrestleMania. And everyone believes that it's Montez Ford. And I'm talking about I'm talking about the build up to Montez Ford and Jey Uso heading to WrestleMania when I cover their match. But yeah, so obviously Roman was busy, Jay's the champion, and Sammy was injured before WrestleMania. So this is it. This is the main event for WWE Tag Team Championships. Leading up to it, like I said, the SmackDown. The night before this, Friday Night SmackDown main event is Jimmy versus Cody, and Jimmy Uso cleanly pins Cody Rhodes. And I think this is also a really great homage to WrestleMania 39, how the tag team titles were defended in the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. And it was also Jimmy Uso in that match as well, believe it or not. I think this is just the main event build up, and like I said, with Cody and Brock being in the tag team division, it really elevates this match. Obviously Jimmy Uso is a big star, and Carmelo Hayes is, building himself up, and Carmelo Hayes is getting a massive career booster by associating himself with the bloodline, just for this temporary alliance to help Jimmy out. And this is for the WWE Tag Team Championships, and it's a very close match at times. And Jimmy and Carmelo have some great tag team movesets together. But in the end, it's Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes, and they retain their tag team titles. Jimmy and Carmelo get close to pinning Cody a couple of times during this match. But in the end, Brock Lesnar pins Carmelo Hayes. And that is night 1 done and dusted. I think that is a massive main event, and especially it's really cool seeing it in the main event being a tag team match. Then are you guys ready for night 2? I know I am. I know I am indeed. So it starts off with a women's tag team championship contender match. Because remember, Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade are the women tag team champions, and they were in their group going against the team of Michelle McCool, etc., etc. I'm just trying to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tag teams. Is there even a thing for a tornado tag? Okay, there are 5 tag teams. Maybe can I do? Nah, I can't. I know 8's the maximum anyway. Okay, I'm just gonna have to. It'll be alright. So the women in this match are. Let's go. The first tag team. Katana Chance and Kayden Carter. They're the tag team in this. The next ones are Damage Control. Kairi Sane and Oscar. We next have the Meta Girls. They actually get their WrestleMania debut. So Lash Legend, which by the way, Lash Legend right now being with Nia Jax is pretty cool. But like I said, obviously I made this list back in 2025, so like they weren't back at the start of 2025, and so obviously they weren't a tag team back then. And tag team number 4 is actually a new alliance between. Actually, no, I think they may have worked together during the year, if I remember. Uh, um, just having a look. Was it Kiana James? That's right. And I give Jada Parker and Kiana James a massive push later on in their careers, you know. Um, and then the 15 is Pure Fusion Collective, which I think is the final match I have of these women ever, which obviously is Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark. These are 5 women tag teams going all at it in tag team mayhem and in a contendership to uh, face Roxanne Perez and Corey Jade on their terms, but they're next in line, Jada Parker and Kiana James. And the winners of this tag team match are Jada Parker and Kiana James. This definitely gives them a good boost in their career as well. I'm pretty sure this is their WrestleMania debut. And yeah, they become a tag team, they become friends, and create this alliance. So yeah, that's number 1 of night 2. The next match is for the United States Championships. Oh, I don't want Elimination Chamber. I'm so sorry. Did I do Elimination Chamber for that? Am I right? So going into this, remember Chad Gable is the defender. So he's defending his United States Championship against AJ Styles and Logan Paul. As you can imagine, this is a pretty spectacular, technical match with great moves. You know, obviously Chad Gable's very technical with his work. So is AJ Styles, and Logan Paul. You know, he's a striker, but he has those high-flying moves that he's capable of doing as well. It's a simple yet effective and brilliant choice for the United States Championship. You know, and it's really good also to put Chad Gable on WrestleMania. And so obviously Chad Gable goes into this as champion, but the winner here is AJ Styles. AJ Styles wins the United States Championship. The next match of the night. Oh, it's also a triple threat. My bad. And I kind of talked about this in the Elimination Chamber. The feud. I don't have AJ Lee, but remember I do have Nikki Bella. Actually, no, I don't have it, but she's present. So this is the. It's Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Bella versus AJ Lee. In a triple threat match. Now, these women have been at each other's throats since the start of Jan because they were feuding with each other in the Rumble, and then obviously they were all 3 in the Elimination Chamber, and they hated each other then, and the feud kept going afterwards. I think this is really, really important and spectacular to have, you know, Nikki Bella, AJ Lee, and Alexa Bliss in WrestleMania. I think that's fantastic. They deserve to be, because remember, Alexa Bliss wasn't in 2025 when Alexa Bliss returned. She wasn't in that year's WrestleMania, and for a lot of 2025, she was like I don't know how to explain it. She just wasn't there until she, you know, essentially started building that Chalexa storyline, you know. But yeah, this is the women's triple threat, and the winner here is AJ Lee. Next match, we have a one-on-one match, and I think this is a really nice one. It's definitely one that I'd love to see, and it is CM Punk. So CM Punk is at this WrestleMania. I don't believe this guy is in this game, which sucks. I know he was in 2K23. Nah, he's not. So Dolph Ziggler. It's CM Punk versus Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler returned. Obviously, they've got a bit of a history. And obviously, AJ Lee's been CM Punk's actual wife, but then AJ Lee and Dolph Ziggler had a thing going on a decade ago, whatever. But so I think this is a really really good match. You can imagine that the build up is really impressive. It will be really entertaining as well on the upcoming weeks to WrestleMania. It's a nice match. No championship involved, but yeah, the winner of this match is CM Punk. And the next match is for the Women's United States Championship. And the defender is Bianca Belair, and she's defending it against Liv Morgan. And this is for the Women's United States Championship. I think this is a excellent match. Liv Morgan definitely needs to be at WrestleMania, same as Bianca Belair. You know, I'm pretty sure. Did I have Liv Morgan in the chamber? I don't know if I did. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. And so, this is a great way for Bianca Belair to further her US title reign. And yeah, I think both her and Liv Morgan definitely needs to be at this WrestleMania. This would be a fantastic match. You know, they've got history, they've got a feud, they've feuded before. And yeah, that's it. And Bianca Belair retains her Women's United States Championship. The next match is for the Women's WWE Championship. And remember, this is an interesting one because this is Bayley defending it against Naomi. Remember, they were best friends before Naomi won the Rumble. And between the Rumble and WrestleMania, Naomi and Bayley, Naomi was still friends with Bayley, but Naomi wasn't showing Bayley the care she deserved, the love that she deserved. And Naomi had hints of illness in her, wanting to, actually hurt Bayley because Bayley didn't want to do this, etc. And this is a big build up. And at the end of the day, Naomi wins the championship, pinning Bayley. Because in this match, Naomi's actually ruthless. She's not a heel, remember that. But she is not going easy on Bayley. Naomi's giving it her all. She's fighting hard. And at the end of the day, pins Bayley. However, at the end of the match, Naomi goes back to her old self and actually hugs Bayley. And they kind of rejoice, which is important. Even though Bayley's upset, but Naomi actually gives her a hug. And because it was kind of like this whole persona of Naomi leading up to WrestleMania was that she was patient and quiet and wasn't really talking about how she was feeling and revealing her aspirations and her wants, because it wasn't clear what she wanted and who she was between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. I think that's a really smart and clever way to handle this feud and the situation going into WrestleMania, is that Naomi wasn't clear with her actions. She had hints of heelness. She wanted to fight Bayley. She chose Bayley. Yet she didn't say that they were enemies. But she didn't say that they weren't. But they, so it was very confusing. The next match is my favorite match of this WrestleMania, and it's a big one. And you're probably wondering why this isn't main eventing. It is the second last match of the night, and at the time when I did this, I thought that the main event should be the Royal Rumble winner, and going on to main event WrestleMania. But this is it. This is it, guys. I don't know what to tell you. The 12-year feud between these two ends here in a Hell in a Cell match at a WrestleMania. The biggest match of the year by far, the number one match of the year, the best match of the year by far. And now that I think of it now, yes, this probably should have main evented WrestleMania, but I'm just sticking to what I had written down originally, which was the WWE Men's Championship being defended in the main event. And where do I start with this? This is a hard-hitting, brutal match. All the tools are in there: ladders, toolboxes, chairs, tables are used, weapons, handcuffs, chains, um, kendo sticks, and it ends in a spectacular way. Roman, and I kind of take an influence in the what happens in this match. I've kind of gotten help from this from the Women's Tag Team Championship match back at Elimination Chamber in 2025 when it was Bianca and Jade versus Tiffy and Nia Jax in a Hell in a Cell match. And now that I think about it now, the Hell in a Cell match at Elimination Chamber would most likely be impossible because obviously they hold the stuff above the ring on the ceiling of the arena. And I don't know how it's possible to hold both the Elimination cage as well as the Hell in a Cell cage at the same time, at the same PLE. But anyway, it happened then. And so it kind of takes influence from that match where Roman spears Seth through the cage wall towards the end of the match, and then they climb up the top of the cage. They fight each other. Roman spears Seth on top of the cage. Seth does a pedigree to Roman on top of the cage, and then Roman does a pop-up power bomb to Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins falls to the top of the cage and lands on the ring. Boom. I could just imagine that Roman and Seth goes to the top of the cage all the way to the ring, and Seth's just dead. And then this really cool aura moment is where Roman is on top of the cage, and after he's done that, he's putting his hand up and his finger up for people to acknowledge him. That would be a clean cinematic shot right there. And then Roman Reigns, what he does is he climbs down the cage, and in this time, it gives Seth Rollins, a couple of minutes to breathe and for the referee to check on him. And then Roman goes to pin Seth. 1, 2, at the last millisecond, Seth somehow kicks out. And Roman's still injured, even though he didn't fall through the freaking cage. He still injured himself, throughout the rest of the match. So he's tired, he's worn out. And then he goes to attack Seth, and then Seth dodges. Roman trips and allows for Seth to somehow get up with all of his strength and do a super kick or something and a stomp, and then pin a stomp onto a ladder, if that makes sense. So like there's a ladder on the ground, and so Roman, like I said, he goes to do like a spear or a Superman punch to Seth. Seth moves out of the way. Roman trips. Seth super kicks him somehow using all of his strength, then stomps his head into the ladder, and Seth pins Roman, and Seth Rollins finishes the 12-year feud, and it's done. It is done. Or is it 13 years? I kept saying 12 because the feud of when Seth used the steel chair. 2014, 2015 is when it happened, and so, or was it 2013? No, 2014, I think. It's been a long time, but anyways, that's the end of the match. That's history right there, done and dusted. The second last match of Night 2 WrestleMania Roman Reigns. And also going into this match, their attires, their outfits is spectacular. So going into this is full blown bloodthirsty, angry Seth Rollins. As you can imagine, this is a 12-year-old feud. So Seth Rollins goes into this wearing the tactical vest. Sorry about that, guys. So it is. Um, Seth Rollins is wearing his tactical vest from his Shield gear, but then he's also dyed the highlights in his hair red, and he's also got red eye contacts on, eye lenses on to make him look this punishing look. Roman Reigns going into it as well has a the Shield vest on as well, but nothing done with his eyes or hair or anything like that. And at the start of night two, WrestleMania, despite it being a separate building to Madison Square Garden where this WrestleMania takes place, Seth Rollins arrives here on a helicopter just as they did back in the day in Shield. Spectacular, right? And that's it. That's it right there. So that's it. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns is a tie. Obviously, during the match, Roman Reigns takes off the vest before the match starts, but he uses it as ring gear, like entrance gear. Seth wears the vest for a little bit, but then ends up taking it off throughout the early stages of the match. But yeah, he has the red eye contact lenses and dyes a bit of his hair red, the highlights. And that's the match. And like I said, Seth Rollins wins. And the final match of the night, which is for the WWE Championship. Um, so the defender, which is Jey Uso, versus the Royal Rumble winner, Montez Ford. This is obviously Montez Ford's big single push. Remember, he's just gone from the tag team division straight to winning the Rumble. And so there's a lot that goes into play here in the build up to WrestleMania. And one of the big things to talk about is Montez Ford. It takes a long time for him to believe in himself. Throughout Feb, throughout after the Rumble, throughout Feb, but throughout March, because remember WrestleMania's in April. Um, Montez Ford's doubting himself. He doesn't believe in himself, and with his promos of Jey, this differentiates from a regular main event of WrestleMania. It's not heel versus babyface. It's not bad guy versus good guy. In this instance, they're both good guys. In with the provided context of this, you could consider Jey Uso to be the sort of bad guy in this, but he's still a good guy. What Jay's been doing though is he does talk now to Ford, saying, "Look, man," but in a respectful manner. He's like, "Look, Oos, I don't think you're ready for this, man. This is a title run, and this is the WWE Championship, and I don't think you have what it takes to hold this in the power that it has, and the impact that it has on you. Because when you wear this belt, it isn't gold, it's a target. Everyone in the entire company is after you." And so that's a big thing. It takes a long time, throughout a lot of the build up. Um, Jay is, in a respectful manner, just looking out for 40, saying, "Look, I don't think this is right for you, man, because this is the first time you're in a singles environment, and it's not like you're having a build up. You're going straight from tag team wrestling straight to the main event of WrestleMania for the WWE Championship, and it's a massive, massive deal." So Jay's in a respectful manner been doing this, but he's putting him down, and it takes a long time for Ford to to um believe in himself. It takes a very long time. Also, there's, in the build up to this WrestleMania, there's this whole storyline with Angelo Dawkins because Dawkins is left out now. He has no place in this because he's always been associated with Montez Ford because they were attacked him. They're the Street Profits. And this is a big deal for Dawkins because now Dawkins is in a way upset at Montez Ford because Dawkins, like, look, Dawkins, and that part, the storyline of Dawkins does develop over the course between after WrestleMania and throughout the rest of the months of 2026. So at the start, Dawkins is actually a bit supportive. At the same time, though, he's just a bit. Dawkins is a bit at unease as what to do with himself. He gets a couple of random single matches here and there, but just like Ford, Dawkins is so used to tag team wrestling that he struggles in the solo environment. And so there's that whole issue with Ford and Dawkins like, look, I believe in you, man. You got this. You're gonna win this, but I really miss you, and I really miss us being in the Street Profits. And so that comes into play. And another thing that I talked about was that on a random episode of SmackDown, Sami Zayn gets injured, and the cameras are on Sami on the ground, and the close and security's looking around like, who did this, whatever, who did this. Sami's injured badly, and the closest person in the background that they see is Montez Ford walking by, and everyone blames Montez Ford, and now Jay and some others think that Montez Ford is the bad guy in some capacity. They still believe that he's still somewhat a nice man, and Jay still respects Montez Ford, but Jay believes that Ford attacked his homeboy Sammy, which in a way, like I said, also provides to Jay Uso. You could consider him to be the somewhat heel in this, but he's just confused. Jay is mistaken. He's confused because I can tell you now that Montez Ford did not attack Sami Zayn. Um, so that's the build up really. I think I've covered everything. Ford struggles to believe himself. The thing with Dawkins, Jay's putting Ford down. The whole Sami attack, and they think it's Montez Ford. And this match is the main event. It's pretty massive. You can imagine the whole crowd yeeting with Jay's entrance, and then you know, and it's Jay's back to his Uso. It's just me Uso music theme because remember, like I said at the Royal Rumble, he had a remix that I found on SoundCloud that I could imagine was perfect to a dope as hell entrance. Um, and yeah, and it's a pretty spectacular match. I want this match to have Jay to have a unique moveset. I do not want this match with Jay to just be super kick, spear, Uso splash. I want there to be, some Samoan drop, a Samoan, just any moves for that matter. And Montez Ford, he's a high flyer. He's got great movesets. Remember, 2025, Montez Ford had that massive moment in the Elimination Chamber with Seth Rollins. And I want to be honest, guys. Montez Ford wins the WWE Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. Now, you guys are probably thinking and calling me absolutely crazy for having Montez Ford as the WWE Champion. Like, ever. Like, hello? You probably confused as hell. And it being in the main event of WrestleMania, I don't know. This is just how I pictured it all and thought of it all, etc. And that's it, guys. That's WrestleMania right there. That's WrestleMania 42 done and dusted. I think that's a pretty spectacular match. Um, Obviously, WrestleMania is finished, but I'm just going to use the WrestleMania background for this. Blah 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 blah. The Raw after WrestleMania is Jade Cargill's victory, because remember, Jade Cargill is the woman's. No, she's the champion, and her victory gets interrupted by Roxanne Perez. Now you're what? This does not make any sense. And let me explain. I think Backlash is. Let me talk about this. I think Backlash is such an underrated PLE because it. Backlash is a major PLE. It's definitely not S tier. It's definitely not A tier majority of the time. It's considered to be a B tier PLE. However, um, the thing about this is that I love that Backlash is attached to WrestleMania. They don't do it anymore, but it used to be called WrestleMania Backlash. And Backlash is the perfect opportunity to finish any feuds that weren't resolved at WrestleMania, or to start new feuds post WrestleMania due to stuff that's happened at WrestleMania, etc., etc., etc. And Roxanne Perez comes out. Remember, Roxanne Perez is still one half of the women's tag team champions. Um, so here's the thing, right? So it's Raw, and I know that there is. Here's what's gonna happen. Let me just highlight you guys. Okay, so what happens is Roxanne Perez comes out and calls out Jade, and Roxanne's like, "That's my title, and I am the best current WWE. I was the best in 2025. I was the best world champion." And Jade's like, "Hold up, girl. I was, because remember, Jade Cargill was the women's WWE champion in 2025, and Roxanne Perez was the world heavyweight champion in 2025. The two biggest women stars of 2025. And on top of that, they weren't just champions for a little bit; they were champions for a while. And arguably, those two women, those two women were the top two women of that year. And so they're like, let's figure this out, yeah. And Roxanne Perez is calling out Jade for her title, because remember, the world heavyweight champion was Roxanne, and Roxanne wants her title back. And Roxanne's like, I'm coming for my title again. And Jade's like, you can try. And then they've set up a match for Backlash, right? And the whole premise of this is to see who truly was the best woman superstar of 2025. So that sets up the Backlash match. But obviously, on that same episode of Raw, in the backstage, we have Kiana James and Jada Parker upset because they realize now that they're going to have to wait a little longer to get their tag team championship opportunity. However, they are still 100% definitely booked in place for that match, as it's going to take place after Backlash, because there's only a couple, 2 to 3 weeks between WrestleMania and Backlash. And sometimes it's a big struggle for Backlash because there isn't enough time for proper feuds to be started, and so therefore, um, yeah, that this is it. This match doesn't need that much story because the story's already there. The story already happened. The story was their tag team championship reigns across 2025. That was the story, and now this is the result. And they're trying to figure out not even just who the biggest woman superstar of 2025 is, but who the biggest woman superstar of today is in this current time period. And so this is their build, and this is the announcement for Backlash. And there you have it, guys. Unfortunately, the video is about to end. I won't be able to cover Backlash in this video. WrestleMania took a while, but to be fair, WrestleMania is a big PLE. And I've just gone over, like I said, the first feud going into Backlash. Jada Parker and Kiana James do get their tag team championship match after Backlash. Um, in May. But yeah, there you guys have it. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. This is part 3. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for Backlash and the next PLEs. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.